Well, I appreciate everyone hopping on board here. I'm Rob Bigelow, the Director of Civil Services for ATG. And I want to thank everyone for attending. We're going to be digging into the Project Explorer, which I know a lot of us are really excited to see. And we're fortunate enough to have James Wedding, PE, and Louisa Holland, who goes by Lou, here with us, Senior Technical Specialist at Autodesk. And feel free to ask any questions there in the chat. We got a Q&A section. And if I need to, if there's any pauses or whatever, I might throw in some questions that pop up in there, but I'll keep an eye on that as well. So turn it over to you guys at this point.
Awesome. Thanks, Rob. Thanks, ATG folks, for letting us join today. This will be Project Explorer, and this is a little bit different in that we're just going to sort of go through some use case. So my understanding, and I'm looking at my attendee list here, most of these folks, and I see some friends out there. So Tom, be nice. Some of you who have joined us today, and there's already chat messages, we'll keep those going. Yeah, we are going to record. So if you do have questions, you have other things along the way, feel free to throw them in. Lou is going to throw in some color commentary as well as we go. So if I forget something or if you have something to add, Lou, please, by all means, just interject, and let's have this be as casual as possible. We're not selling anything today. So let's talk a little bit about Project Explorer and where it came from and sort of how you can get your hands on it first. Let me go ahead and I'm going to share my screen, and we should have the share going, and I'm going to move this dialog over to the side here, and we should see Chrome and introducing Project Explorer in Civil 3D. This is as close as we're going to get to PowerPoint. I'm a big fan of the work that Jeff Bartles and Jerry Bartles and those folks have been doing lately, and one of their mantras is this is a PowerPoint-free zone. PowerPoint-free zone. I think we've all spent a lot of time in PowerPoint and Zoom the last few months. So we'll actually stay mostly in the software. But what is Project Explorer? Project Explorer is a piece of technology that Autodesk acquired. And you can see here all of the details along the way. It was acquired from a company called 3AM Solutions. And they were also the folks that brought us the Civil View extension. So not new partners to Autodesk, really developing some high quality tools that plug into workflows and fill in some of the gaps that honestly we sort of leave in the software. Project Explorer, to me feels like, and I think my kids stole all of mine, what you'll find is that it is designed to at least supplement, if not replace, the engineer's pad that every single one of us keeps on our desk for writing down a station, writing down an elevation, all those little notes that we take as we design so we can go type things in again as we go through the process. Project Explorer sort of gets rid of a lot of that, and it really lets us dig into some depth and some details. So first off, it is included as part of your AEC collection subscription, and it is available for Civil 3D 2020 and 2021. Now, to get to it, and I'm going to pull up my Manage portal here, you need to go download it. It's not installed by default with Civil 3D. And to get to it, if you go in and look at all products and services on your Manage portal, you're going to immediately go, wait, where is it? Heck, I don't even see Civil 3D because this is sort of a portal collection. You're going to need to dig into your AEC collection and then look for the view all included items. So just remember, this isn't like its own standalone thing. It's part of the collection. Go to all products and services, open up all those different things, and then scroll down and you will see Autodesk Civil 3D Project Explorer. So, and it's going to say version 2021. It works with 2020. We just haven't, I don't know why we do these things. So there you go. You download that and then you run the installation and you fire up your old friend Civil 3D. And you're like, sweet, Civil 3D, where's my Project Explorer? And you do like I do, and you go across the top looking for project, analyze, no, that's not project. Again, because this was originally developed as an add-in, it's hiding over here on our add-ins menu. So once you get it installed, restart Civil 3D, you sign in, and you're going to see this nifty button for Launch Project Explorer. Now, you have to launch it every time. It doesn't by default do that. So just remember, like everything else, you can add to your quick access toolbar. I'm a big fan. I just put it up here. So then when I launch into Civil 3D, I click on that and boom, Project Explorer launches. Now, a couple of things. I'm looking over to my right, your left, whatever that might be, because I have a big monitor sitting over there. And I hope you do too, because that's where Project Explorer is going to live. I'm going to bring it back onto the home monitor today so you can see that. You guys are seeing that, Lou? Cool. So this is Project Explorer. Now, if you ever sat in one of my classes years and years and years ago, I used to tell people Prospector is where we go digging for information about Civil 3D objects. It's a funny joke, except that really you spend a lot of time in Prospector going, okay, well, I need to know something about that parcel. So then I'm going to dig into the site, and then I'm going to go to the parcel, and then I'm going to click on that, and then I'm going to go properties. Oh, okay, well, so here's the analysis. Maybe, okay, there's some of the information about chords, and here's my UDP. Cool. Well, what if I want to talk about an alignment? Well, now I can right click and I can go alignment properties, and I can get station, and I can get masking, and I can, but where's my curve? No, I need to get into the geometry editor, and now I need to get in the super elevate. We have all these different ways to plug into data. And really that's where Project Explorer starts to show its strength. So now let's pull that thing back up again. And let's look at Project Explorer. It is modeless. You'll notice that it moves around, and I'm going to resize this. It is a modeless dialog box. So I can sit here and I do things in Civil 3D. I can draw lines, arcs. I can use all of my usual commands. I am a old school keyboard guy. So if you sometimes see me start typing things, that's how I get around. Project Explorer sits over here and it interacts as I select some things. You will sometimes see it update, sometimes not, but I can interact in both ways, and it just sort of sits there. The big piece of this is that I'm going to generally, if I'm working with, for an example, a corridor or alignments or surfaces, right, I'm going to make this dialog huge, and I'm going to chuck it on the other monitor so I can switch back and forth between essentially my canvas view and my engineer's tabular grid view. Project Explorer essentially shows me all of the Civil 3D stuff that is in the current drawing. So let's start here at the top. We've got alignments, alignments, and alignments is alignments and profiles. So when we click on the alignment tab here, you can see there are two alignments. And then if I click on road and I click on the profile, you know, those are a part of the process. Where is it hiding? It may not have any data, so it's not there, but we'll get one to show up later. We can also look at surfaces. You can see all of the different surfaces that make up and are part of this drawing, or you can look at parcels. Now, nothing magical here that you sort of like, so what? I could do that in Prospector. Well, some things. So one, I'm going to zoom to. Okay, that's easy enough. No big deal there. But then I'm also, and I'm going to have to pan AutoCAD so I can see this. But then I'm going to tap the control key. And if I zoom this properly, there you go. When I have a parcel selected, see, let's go to one of the single family ones. And I'm going to use pan to now. You see that starting to highlight there? I'm actually pressing the control key with that highlighted, and it lets me see sort of what's going on the screen. If you've dealt with feature lines, you've dealt with hundreds of alignments, you've dealt with lots of parcels, just being able to go, okay, that's the piece I'm talking about. Great. You can do the same thing with individual segments. So if I zoom, and I'm going to zoom in a little bit so you can see better, when I pick on an individual segment, control lets me zoom over and see what's going on there. There's also some ability to use different keyboard commands. I mean, so there's a fair number of them. And again, I'm sort of, yeah, I am using my notes here because I sometimes forget them. But if you are interested, the help documentation is there, and there's a whole section on using some of the keyboard shortcuts. So when we select one, we can get in and modify that. We can see all of the different pieces across the top. So it really just lets us very easily dig into and look at all the different types of data. And now, reviewing editing, great. But let's go ahead and, I'm going to pan, and then we can also select multiple. So just so you know, when we pick parcels, if we go up here, for example, and we pick, well, let's just pick all 4 road parcels, we can edit, set description. We can do multiple things all at once really quickly. And the other thing you can do, anytime you see purple, you can double click that and you'll get some options there. So we can change that to name area, and you can see there that it modified that one. Now that's not a great name or a great option, but you can go in and quickly and easily modify all of those different pieces. We can use some filters up here along the top. We can also go in and oftentimes you'll find that there are partial creation tools, or there are creation tools, no matter what you pick across the top. So if you want to make a new alignment, the alignment creation tools are right there as they go. And there's our profile. It just had to move things around. So we can see those different pieces. So we talked about the top has a preview. The middle has a list of all of the various objects of that particular type. And then down at the bottom, we sort of have a tabular view of that object. One of the things that you'll find is that as we look at linear objects, so alignments, corridors, pipes, you'll see this idea of indexed interval points. And so I'm going to pan to that point. And again, we're going to shuffle and do some things here. And we can look at any point along the alignment and get a sense of where is that. Now, these are not PIs. These are just division points along the alignment. Now, think about this in the idea of a road crossing, right? Look, I don't want to pan over my profile. I just want to be able to quickly calculate what's the approximate elevation of a pipe where it crosses another pipe. I can click on that pipe. I can work through this indexing, just look at it on screen and go, okay, it's about 1,008, and I can move on with life. I don't have to run an inquiry. I don't have to do a list. I don't have to pull up the profile in another view. This just gives you an easy way to get at some of that data. Now, when we look at more complex objects, we can get into some of the editing, but we'll get there in a second. So remember at the top, all the object types, right in the middle, preview, list, and then detailed options. And again, if you want to change how these things work, you can go in and set the interval, for example, 25. And now we can, again, control to highlight where we are on the screen. So I hold down control and I get a little bullet point. If I see a funny little dip, right? So for here, let's scroll across. That's my low point. And I'm going to pan to that point. And again, I'm going to hit control, but maybe that's where I would put a curb inlet. Probably not, but I usually try to put curb inlets on people's property lines so that the neighbors get to argue about who has to clean them, but whatever. It's just a quick way to move around in a drawing. So we can look at parcels, property, all that sort of fun stuff. Let's look at using this in a little bit more robust way. So I'm going to move over to a paving drawing where I've got a lot more going on. So let's go to my paving drawing, and it threw me out into the layout space, but let's go down to the model. And again, you can sort of see the same thing here. Same Project Explorer window. You can see alignments. Now we have 26 of them, including all of those fabulous intersection offset alignments, all those sorts of things. And because in this drawing, these are not data references, right? These are real alignments. You can see I also get into all of the options for editing these alignments. So I'm going to grab road A for an example. And you can see here I've got road A, and you can see there's the profile, there's a design profile, but road A, I get down into, for example, alignment entities. I want to see that curve, and I'm going to, again, pan to, and it centers it. So sorry, we just have to keep moving these things over here. Curve, control, you see it popping up in the middle of that. There we go. You see it nice and bright right here on the screen. Again, as a design engineer reviewing somebody else's work, this would be great. I could very quickly and easily move through, modify, mess with, update, etc. And I can also go in and look at all of the detail information about this object. Now, let's see if we got anything down here. Everything's pretty well locked in, so we're not going to be able to, but we can, like we said before, if we want to change the description, we could say west, south, and that would update and go through all those areas. If I click on road A, ATG way, there we go, update that. I can go through and rip through all these changes, and you'll notice it is changing everything. I mean, it's not like you have to hit a synchronization button or anything else. It's immediately updating the drawing and the project information underneath, behind the scenes, all those sorts of tools. So again, move to alignment. We can also use this with assemblies. And this to me is probably a little bit more interesting when I look at, for example, roads. If you've ever had to try and dig into all of the different digging into the assembly, go to the corridor to figure out which assembly is in play, to figure out which sub-assembly is in play, to go modify the individual parameter. You can do all of that right in here. And you can see that this assembly, and then you can also see the associated corridor region. So we're able to look at the data we can figure out where is that assembly in play, and then go, oh yeah, it's going to modify that sort of thing. So if we look at, for example, road A, and again with the pan, will it highlight that for me? No. And we've got a little bit of there are still some weird things going on, but this piece allows me to go in and modify all of the different elements. Now, if I modify one of these, make sure I get the right one. So urban lane, that's on the right hand side. I want the left side because we're going to look at that sidewalk, for example. I can go in and very easily set that, double click, set that up. You can see that it modified my, and then this one might complain because this is pretty ugly, but I can switch to the corridor, right click, and let's see if it runs for me. Like I said, I've got some things that are not necessarily linked up like they should be. There we go. So it did run, and I've got some reference files for, yeah, we'll have to clean up this sample set a little bit later. But you can get in and modify all of the various pieces. When I modify an assembly, I also have the ability to go into the corridor and just start ripping through the various pieces. And you can even just use your scroll wheel. Let's see if I can, I don't think and you can really see it here with the grading. You see, and I'll be honest, this is a heck of a lot faster than the section editor inside of Civil 3D itself, right? When we get into corridor tools, I can come here and I can look for anything weird. Well, like missing pieces. Let's see, there we go. It kicks back in over across the intersection, whatever it might be. So a quick way to get in, understand, and work with different parts. So this is the corridor piece. When we look at points and surfaces, same sort of tools are available. Pan, zoom, set different types of fills, all those sorts of properties. All right, so let's get in here and use this to modify and make some edits, because to me, that's where some of the power is. I'm going to use the pipe network because that feels like the easiest place to get in and want to be able to modify or work with a bunch of different pieces. So like we said before, we've got a preview across the top. We've got the part light pipe networks. So if you had multiple networks, you could pick a network from the middle of the screen. And then down below, you see all of the various structures, pipes, and then runs. Now, when we look at a run, this can go from structure to structure to structure all the way down. But remember how I said before, we were talking about the elevation of a pipe at a crossing or something along those lines? This is where we start to look at being able to look at where crossing slices are. And I'm going to zoom in here. I know where this one is. You can see where that crossing is on the screen. So again, I'm trying to skip the idea of taking notes, and I can just work through the pipe, and I don't have to call out a specific station to go and make sure that, I mean, because for me, right, this would be where I would typically have a water line crossing to the east side of this sanitary sewer line. And I can just say, okay, so elevation at that point, I can't see it on my, can I not see the pipe elevation? Hey, you know what? That's why, where did it go? Oh, it is right there. But if I wanted to make it more obvious, you can drag things around. So remember, you can always go in and drag these layouts around. So, and the other thing is I tend to work in imperial units here in the US. Because this came to us from a European developer, you'll find that most of the decimals are set to 4, right? Essentially millimeters based on that sort of thing. So you'll see fractional millimeters. That's a lot of decimal places. Down here in preferences is where you can get into all kinds of options. You can also set up the font color for editing variables. You can set up all these different things. I tend to be a little colorblind, so I'm going to set things to the worst possible combination ever, but it's up to you. So you can go in and set these in some way, shape, or form. So I'm going to set that bright red. And then I'm going to use yellow for highlights. And I'm going to use, I actually can generally see the difference between these when I'm on a screen. And now you can see all of my warnings are bright red. But you can go in and modify, and I didn't, after all that, I never did modify the decimal places. Let's see if we can do that real quickly, because otherwise it will. Lou, do you remember where the decimal places are? Did you get into modifying this at all?
Oh, no, I actually don't know where that is offhand.
I messed with it for about 2 seconds this morning, and now I've lost it. Bother. All right, it might be in the layout options. Anyway, it is there. You do not have to live in 4 decimal place land. It is entirely up to you. Now, the other thing we can do is, this is probably the more powerful piece, this idea of edit pipe run. And we can edit runs based on essentially running from structure to structure. Oh, so you can see now, oh, that green on white is terrible. I've done myself poorly. I don't want that. So these go dark green. Okay, so now we can see that. So I pick a structure. You can see it highlights up in the preview area above. And I can shift click, and you can see that it selects across the whole thing. And we're going from 31 to 37. And actually, we're going to go 31 to 30. I had to go insert a structure after the fact. So yeah, there we go. 31 to 37. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Man, we're probably missing one somewhere, but we can mess with that. Edit pipe run allows us to go in and do sweeping based on the run, not based on the network, but we can essentially hold the pipe start. We can push it the other direction. You can do all these sorts of fun things. Now, in this case, you can see we're sort of bucking grade, right? Because our pipe run starts here, and I've got to carry sewer back out to the main street. So I want to do that at minimum pipe grade. But I'll tell you now, it started with a it actually started with like a 1% run. And if I do that, and let's hope that does that, you can see now that it buries that pipe along the way. Not ideal. So I can go in and modify all of the entire run. Let's set that at 0.4. That's minimum slope for sanitary. I can also set in a elevation offset at structures. So typically you have a drop across the structure. Let's set it at 1 just so you can really see the exaggeration. And again, we'll set that okay. And now you can see, oh, I went the wrong direction. That's not good, right? So it's really quick and easy to go and say, no, I need a -1. And now you can see I've slapped in a foot drop. Now that's more than you would ever possibly want, but the fact that I did it all at once and I did it very quickly really makes it pretty quick. We can do the same sort of thing with pipes, just like we were looking at before. Maybe I'm going to go down and I'm going to, and we've got all sorts of fun errors, but I'm going to pan to that. I'm going to use my control key. Once I select that one, I'm going to make sure, yep, that's the one I want. And I'm going to control select those 3, zoom to, and you can see them highlighting on my screen, hopefully. Right, so there's a curve, and then my straightaway. So here, really easy, right click, swap part. So just for the sake of making things, again, easy to view on the screen and in the demo, we're going to swap out 18-inch for 60-inch PVC. You can see it's updated, does all that sort of fun stuff there. And you can see it's done the same thing here. So really a nice, quick, easy way to get in and modify multiple things. You can see where I jumped from 18-inch to a 60-inch pipe now. So if you need to hold crown, you can do that. You need to hold invert, you can do that. Project Explorer just really lets us sort of design the way I used to do, really over more in Excel/tables, and then sort of push things back into the CAD world. It lets us sort of work in both at the same time. Again, this thing sits over on the other screen. You're going to sit in that other screen a lot. So take advantage of it. All right, let's look at a couple more things, because I know one of the big powerful pieces out of this is the ability to generate reports. And to generate AutoCAD drawings, right? Because we get asked a lot, hey, give me a drawing that just has the alignments in it, or give me a drawing that just has this. And Project Explorer does allow us to do that sort of work. I am going to use that. So let's go look at ATG Way, for example. We can add just object sets. We'll talk about that in a moment. We can also quick export to an AutoCAD 2D DWG file. So this is that whole export dumb down. There are 4 text styles. Oh, I'd have to fix that issue. Oops. But generally, if you aren't working with, essentially pieced together data, you can select on any alignment, surface, corridor, pipe network, what have you, and really quickly and easily move into those sets. The last thing I want to look at before I jump into reports is this idea of working with the comparison. And a comparison allows us to essentially create a temporary view where we're comparing 2 different objects, and then can use that to help drive our design. So this is a feature line that I've got up in this north area. So again, zoom to, and we will pan and zoom to get where it's going. So I'm going to control, you see it highlight there in the open space. That's a potential pond. And you can see the preview of all of the pieces, all the PIs along the pond. Again, another one of those places where just being able to figure out, now where's the control point for the spillway? It's not that one. Let's go down. There, we're getting closer. There we go. So maybe I know that point, And where's the other? It's the other side of the spillway. So is that where we close? Yeah, so 37 is on one side of the spillway, right? That's my elevation, and maybe I want to go add one, but we can work with that a little bit later. So what I want to do here is I'm going to set that spillway to be the lowest point. So I'm going to set that. I'm going to select them both. I'm going to go ahead and I can't because it's the end point. This is where, let's see if I can. I can't do them both because I need to modify. Can I do it both now? No, because it's a closed. So we were going to set that at 960. And now you'll see that because that's the endpoint, that ties together. So 960 there, 960 there. We can create a slope up from there if we want to. So let's go that one. We're doing a little bit of design here on the fly, so we don't want that, but we could set the grade between those two. Set constant grade between, hold the start, right? So we want to hold that 960, and I'm going to come up at 5%. And you can see where I've modified sort of those two pieces. So I'm creating a little bit of a piece there. Now this is all fine and good, but I'm modifying in a vacuum, or I'm editing in a vacuum. What I really want to do is I want to see how this pond compares to the existing terrain around it, because eventually I'm going to grade into that terrain. And this is where the comparison tool kicks in. And now you see that I get a profile view up here. So as you are thinking about retaining walls, as you are thinking about driveways, as you are thinking about designing profiles or modifying and doing grading, allowing the comparison between the two really makes it a quick way to understand the relationship. Now, in this case, I'm even going to compare it to an alignment just because we can. So if I use the ATG way alignment and its profile, when I scroll down here and I hit that control key, you can see based on the ATG way alignment, I'm 206 feet off of it, right? So this could be something that, you know, I see this like when I used to do a lot of subdivisions, right? I would compare elevations between back of curb and the pad. Make sure I get positive drainage going on, and I can just rip through all of the feature lines and all the different points on the feature lines. But this comparison tool allows you to go in and understand how those two objects relate to each other without having, again, without having to project, without having to put on different profiles and all those sorts of pieces. All right. Last thing I want to do before we go into some of the different tools is, you know, and I don't have a way of show of hands. Decimal points are under layout. There we go. Far right. So let's do that real quick. We'll actually go look at layout in a second. The ability to generate tables inside of Civil 3D is pretty good, right? We get decent documentation out of an alignment table, but it's not always as robust as we might like. So when we think about, for example, I'm just going to regen real quick. When we think about the alignment table, so let's go down and let's go ahead and pick a pipe, and maybe we want to add a pipe table and just the default sort of stuff, and it's okay. I mean, it's not bad, but maybe I want to add to it. And yes, you can add in lots of information. But one of the things that we find a lot of times is that you can't always put into a pipe table all the relevant information that you want to. Maybe it's adding in some of the alignment information. Maybe it's adding in other pieces. Inside of Project Explorer, we do have more options for pipes. So I'm going to go ahead and pull pipes. And we're going to just go ahead and right click And oh, quick report to AutoCAD table, and you can see this is a pipes list. And it's going to show me the object table, sub-object table, and I'm going to just throw one in. Use the layout of Project Explorer window because it's going to be wrong. And I'm going to put it way up here. Now you can see that we get all sorts of information about the style, all sorts of information about the structures, etc. So now if I want to go in and modify that, we can. So again, right click, and this time we're going to add a AutoCAD table. And instead of using the Project Explorer window, I'm going to just use a layout style. And we'll go ahead and click OK again. And we'll see if I actually change anything. Oh, because Project Explorer is the default right now. It's the same. Well, we'll just go fix that, won't we? Because, for example, I don't need all of the rules violations. I don't need this full table in here. So we do have the ability to go in and modify these pieces. So let's talk about layouts and some of these other reporting tools so that we can see that. So again, I'm going to pull up the quick report to AutoCAD table, and I'm going to edit the layout style. And we're just going to use the column layout. Looks good. AutoCAD, I don't care about the layer. Default reference, that looks okay. So we're going to use this pipe layout, and you can add in or modify some of these different pieces. So let's go. Oh, we were looking at pipes. I don't want property sets. I don't want rules. I don't want shapes. I don't want. Maybe I do want hydraulic grade line up and down. That's important stuff. That's the sort of thing, again, I had it probably sitting over in Excel somewhere. Path radius, just in case. Now, you can get the idea here. So now we have modified that layout style. And there's the layout, table style. I think we're okay with that. And you can see some of the modifications here. And we'll see if we get something a little bit different this time. Still pretty long. I want to move this guy, so we're just going to move him over here so we can see sort of the comparison between the two. You can see I've modified that table to get a little bit less going on. So the power is in these idea of I need to report a certain way for the city of Dallas. I need to report a certain way for the city of Littleton. All these reports and layouts can be modified and configured so that you can run them at any time. Now, before we go too far down this road, here's this idea of the layout, right? So we talked about the layout, and Lou thankfully did tell me where the general decimal places are. Whew. Area decimal place, I'm okay with that. 1, 1, grade slope, that all looks okay with 2. But watch, I'm just going to be so much happier to not have 14 metric decimal places. I can breathe easier now. All right, so this piece is pretty good set up there. Now, we talked about running a report, right? So we talked about running it for we talked about running it for a single pipe or a single pipe run or whatever it might be. Let's go look at, I'm going to look at my plat again, because this is one of the places where it felt like we had to generate lots and lots of reporting information. So when we pick on a parcel, and I'm just going to select single family. Again, I'm going to pan to that one so we know what we're looking at. single family 191. Okay, so there's that parcel. When we go to run a report against that, for example, we can see this as a quick report to file. Okay, and I'm not gonna modify this too much. I am going to use the layout style, and we're gonna just do this as HTML, and we're gonna run that report real quickly. I'm gonna throw this on my desktop, and you can see there it's just this. I'm gonna replace that one, and we're gonna review the contents, and here we go. So couple of things going on here. We've got some comparison stuff over here. I don't want to deal with that. And every time I update this, currently I have to rerun this report. Now, if I'm a surveyor who's generating these lot reports or these plat reports all the time, I'm going to be pulling my hair out pretty quickly because I have to remember to pick every one. I have to remember to pick the right format, and I have to remember to generate it in the right file format to send it out, right? So the layout itself controls the arrangement of data, but then the other way is to control the PDF, the page, the headers, the fonts, all those sorts of things. So let's look at that a little bit in the reporting. So we're going to go back into my layout, and we're in parcels. We're dealing with the piece there. So this is the layout options. I'm going to turn off the property set. We're going to save that as a layout style again. So I'm going to call that plat layout style. And when we get into the other pieces, we'll go import that in. So now I've got that option. I can run a quick report to file. I can use the edit layout style, and I can open that one. You can see it just made a few modifications there. Tell it okay. We can also edit the report style, and the report style just is page, portrait, font. Like I said, that's sort of the page layout is the report style. The big thing here, though, is that what if I want to do multiple of these, and I want to do them all the time because we're constantly having to regenerate these. This is where we begin to look at this idea of an object set. So I'm going to filter by, well, site one, and then I'm going to sort by parcel name so that I can see these things. And I'm going to select, for example, I don't know how many parcels this is. Right click and add to the new object set. And we're going to call this parcels for report. And this is a list of the SF lots. And I'm going to use the layout style that I just created. And then for my output options, that's okay. For AutoCAD table output, that's fine. Oh, what do I want to do with it? That was the magic question. So this idea of the object set allows me to do a bunch of tasks, a bunch of time-consuming tasks over and over and over. I wanted to generate a report to, let's do HTML. And again, so there's my output options. We talked about the layout, generated file name. That looks good. Tell it okay. So we've added all of those lots into this object set. And if I look at that, you can see that that's a parcels for report. So object set collects a bunch of things, defines an action, says, when I tell you to, go do this. But think about the idea of a bunch of pipe networks where you're having to generate Excel sheet after Excel sheet after Excel sheet. Maybe you're generating AutoCAD drawings to hand off to a contractor, and you've got to always be re-exporting all of the alignments. You can build that alignment object set with the profile information and have that kick out an AutoCAD DWG, and you can just come in here to the object set piece, right click and say, do this. So you can see this run all actions. So I'm going to go ahead and hit run instead of just, well, I only have one, but I'm going to run all actions. And I'm going to go ahead and open that file up. And now you can see my HTML file with all of the parcels, the parcel name, and all of the various segments. So really a quick way to get through and generate the volume of data that we have to produce that has absolutely nothing to do with design, right? So yes, we've got powerful design tools, but as a project engineer, project reviewer, I want to be able to scan through this. And you can see I can still go in and I need to tweak and modify mine. But the idea is to build this to do and generate data the way that you do. So let me close this for a second. I am going to cheat and look over here and see what some of you folks have had to say. Section editor is great, but this is, you're right, this is absolutely quicker. We talked about the layouts, and then Tom, thank you. One of my favorite features of Project Explorer is to show the profile view of a pipe run across multiple alignments. So yeah, I mean, let's take a look at that. So when we look at that paving run, or that pipe run that I was looking at here. Oh, I got to get to my paving drawing. Model space. Pipe network. Where am I starting 1 and I'm going to 35. And again, I'm going to control. So you guys see it is actually running down from this cul-de-sac, and then it takes a hard right to pick up all the sewer for these houses and comes in this way, because then I would start another run and come down the rest of the route. It's up to you. You can do it however you want to do it. That's how I sort of was screwing around with it this morning. Now, what's interesting about this, come on. Valid path couldn't be. Doesn't like my, when we just looked at this earlier. All right, well, let's just do a shorter piece of it. Maybe it'll find it this time. And yes, we do own the development process on this now. So if you happen to have issues with it, let me know. Wow, preview window is not happy. This would be the part that you edit out when you're doing the post-production.
Close and reopen Project Explorer right quick.
What's that?
Close and reopen Project Explorer. I think it just got confused when you hopped between drawings.
I bet you're right.
I'm always right.
Ah, maybe not. Interesting. I don't know. I did just throw this pipe network in this morning to mess around with it. So it may be that it just is not a great, I mean, it's probably a terrible design. So we can get from 34 to 37. All right, let's see. So we can get 2. And I went and inserted things in the middle, so I'm sure it's sort of wonky in that way. So 31 to 34. All right. 32 to 34. So Tom talked about showing on a different surface, but if we compare, do I have my alignments in here and my profiles? No, but we are picking up the information across different surfaces, different profiles across the way. All right, so recap. You've got to download this separately and install it separately from the Manage portal. Available for 2020 and 2021 and only as part of the AEC collection. So if you do have Civil 3D standalone, talk to Rob and the rest of the ATG team about how to connect those two together. If you are using a floating license for some of your collections and some of you have standalone Civil 3D, there's some shenanigans that you've got to work on in terms of getting that piece all to come together. And if you have not updated your license file to include Project Explorer, you do need to get a new license file. It's included as part of your deployment there for the collection. We talked about opening and modifying and reviewing different pieces. We looked at some of the editing. You can see here, for example, we talked about this earlier, right? Red is violations. Oh, no connected pipes to this structure. Huh, that would probably be where things fell apart. I lost a pipe somewhere. I deleted a pipe. That would do it. So when we talk about modifying editing, but right, I mean, I'm sitting here fumbling around in the dark. I should have just moused over, and Project Explorer would have told me, hey, dummy, you don't have any pipes. When we talk about modifying and editing, we looked at mass edits as well as being able to update things like feature lines, updating pipes. We can go in and modify profiles and alignments and work with all the different pieces that make up a Civil 3D design. And then we looked at some of the reporting and layout tools to insert drawing based tables, right? So you can put these things into AutoCAD and they are live. So with Project Explorer, that AutoCAD table is connected to the drawing data. So as things update, the table updates. They're AutoCAD tables. They're not just static entities. And then we looked at some of the reporting and some of the large automated actions. So there's a lot going on with Project Explorer. I will tell you that, again, like I said, the 30-minute quick dives that Jeff Bartles and Jerry Bartles do, I will find that link while we are wrapping up, and I'll send you the starting point there to sort of get your head around some of this. And then there are also videos out there from 3AM because they've been running this product for years. So if you want to dig into a little bit of the detailed use cases, 3AM Solutions Project Explorer series is pretty good stuff. Dig into that. Of course, we do have Project Explorer here. You can see all of the various options here. Remember, I was talking about the navigation. Some of the keyboard shortcuts, right? There's things in here and there's all sorts of information here. There we go, keyboard shortcuts. So the ones that I talked about earlier in terms of zooming, panning, selecting. Ooh, there you go. I sometimes forget, like I said, I forget some of these. The help is there, and its help is better than it has been in a while. So don't be afraid to use it. All right. Rob, what did I miss? Lou, what did I forget? What questions do folks in the audience have? Feel free to type those in, chat away, and we'll do our best to get them answered.
Absolutely. Good job. We like real demos there, and you gave a good proof of concept a second ago saying why you need the Project Explorer, looking at that. We had one other question in here. It said, can a saved set of actions be shared with others in the firm?
So I believe so. When I have this, the saved set of actions, the object set and all the actions are stored in the drawing itself. So they're not something you have to share back and forth because they are dependent on the objects you select. That save set, that object set, and all of the actions are stored in the DWG. So anybody who opens up that drawing can do all those things, but you can't, because they're tied to the objects, you can't export, import across different drawings.
Got it. Does anyone else have any other questions they'd like to bring up?
I actually wanted to clarify something that kind of came up in the Q&A, and somebody asked it and I accidentally hit answer live and I couldn't figure out how to get Zoom to bring it back. But the question was about data references. Something that I want to clarify is when James is editing things, he's actually in that source file. So you still can't reach across data shortcuts and edit them. You can view them, include them in reports, but you can't actually say edit a rim elevation of a referenced network. So
yeah.
I wanted to clarify that.
Oh, good call. Because yeah, this alignment, for example, is a referenced into this plat. So yeah, you can see the information. You can see the road A information, but you'll notice that nothing here is nothing unrelated to display is editable. Yeah, I can change the display, I can add labels, I can change the profile style, but I can't change the curve, I can't change the name, I can't do any of those things. You can see, as a matter of fact, it needs to be refreshed because it's still carrying my road A, even though we renamed it ATG Way. So yeah, data references, you can see, you can update, you can run reports, but you cannot edit them. And we talked about, control click to select or highlight. Was that my control tool or was there something else, Lou?
Oh yeah, just you actually were doing it right as I chatted that to you. And also it might be kind of cool to show how that little editing table, you can use control click and shift click to multi-select. So if you
Oh, yeah.
wanted to edit just, a station range in this case, or a particular set, you can do a ton of different actions. And then once you have them selected, you do right click and you've got all that power. So
Yeah. Oh, I'm in a DREF again, so I'm sort of locked out of some of it. But yes, the standard Windows control, absolutely. And on alignment, not so much, but on a PVI, right? We could get in and modify a large range if we weren't trying to modify the beginning and the end. We could set grade between. We can do all those sorts of things on a selected group by using sort of standard Windows. So I'm going to control click on segment 3, then 2. There's 2's off, 4, 5, 2, and you can see it does let you pick and choose as you go through it. All right. Well, again, I'm going to hand this back to Rob. Stop the share. Thanks everyone for joining us today. Appreciate it. And again, talk with the ATG team. If you don't see Project Explorer in your tool bucket, you're missing out. Get your hands on it.